All right, everyone, welcome to another exciting week with our Mission Matters Twitter Spaces. Every week, we put together a dialogue where we bring together celebrities, influencers, entrepreneurs, investors. And what we do is curate these dialogues where we really dive into their stories and then open it up so that our audience at large then can chime in and we can have a full conversation. So this week we have real estate influencer Noelle Randall. I'll introduce her in just a moment. But for those of you that are just tuning in that are not familiar with Mission Matters, Mission Matters is a media outlet focused on the needs of entrepreneurs, executives, experts. Our mission is to help amplify their purpose so that we can inspire and educate future generations. We are also a book publishing company, a podcast agency, a PR agency, and a digital marketing agency. And here we have a few of our authors and podcasters that are here with us that join in. And we like to curate a community for all of them pretty consistently. So, with that, let me now formally introduce Noelle. I want to make sure that I get her bio down properly. Uh, I have it right here, so give me 1 second while I pull this up. So, Noelle Randall is a successful Amazon bestselling author, real estate entrepreneur, and coach with 20 years of experience. Her diverse business experience has been instrumental in her personal success, as well as in the success of countless people across the country. She teaches real estate investing to people from varying backgrounds that are ready to transform their financial status. Noelle is a full-time real estate investor and founder of the Noelle Randall Coaching Program, providing training, workshops, and events teaching how to start from scratch and build a successful real estate investing business. She has nearly 1 million followers across all of her social media platforms, and I know we'll dive into some of the things she's done to build that following, as I know that many of our guests and many of our clients also want to build their following as we are all becoming more so media brands.
Right.
So with that, I'm gonna pass the baton here to Adam to start the dialogue, and then we'll all jump in right after. So take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Chirag. And just for kind of all the, well, this won't be like a normal podcast interview. So I'll get us kicked off, ask a bunch of questions, get us started. And then the goal is to get everybody involved so that they can also ask Noelle questions. All right. So first off, Noelle, good to talk to you. Since the last time I got to interview you and I saw some of the feedback we got, I can
Yes.
see why you do what you do. Like you get the people going. So welcome back.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Like I said, I love this whole thing. Like I feel like I was maybe just behind the scenes doing real estate and flipping houses. And now that I get to kind of be out here telling people about it, it is way more fun than I thought. So I think people are enjoying how much I'm enjoying it. And I am here on Twitter Spaces and I'm learning stuff every day.
It's awesome. So I know that one of the big things you do is, of course, coaching individuals in real estate, and also to really helping them get over some of those hurdles. A lot of times people think they may look at you and you're polished and, oh, that's Noelle, or she can do it, but I can't. Like all these
Yeah.
things that get in our heads when they see people when they've made it, they're on that other side and hitting momentum. But
Yeah.
maybe just start off by sharing a little bit about your background, because from what I know of what we've talked about in the past, like it wasn't always like that, right?
Right, it was not. And I think that's why I think I enjoy teaching it so much, because I started bankrupt in my parents' basement. Like that I tell that you cannot talk to me for 15 minutes without me letting you know. Yes, I'm a multimillionaire today, but I used to be broke. I was in my parents' basement. I had bad credit. I had multiple foreclosures. I was a disaster of a person, not just a disaster in real estate. I was a disaster of a person. I was not educated, and I just didn't even realize that that was the key. You know what I mean? So it really wasn't until I started going out to all of those like seminars and conferences, and I just started getting around different people that said, hey, yes, you can, and here's how you do it. And then so once I learned it, then I did it. Now I teach it. It just feels like this is perfect. This is how life should be.
Yeah, and early on, I mean, like, so you've been, one thing that I admire about what you do and how you do it is you're not scared to work. Like
No.
you didn't, hit that bump and have to move back in with your parents and all things that happen. That didn't happen because you weren't trying and you weren't like going after it. If I'm not mistaken, like that was around the maybe 2008, or was it around
That's
that
right.
period when
Yes.
like
Yep. It was
like
in my
so
parents' basement, 2008, 2009. Yep. That
and
crashed
and
me.
And so that education piece, though, it wasn't that you were like somebody. I like to kind of bring that out, and maybe for you to go a little bit further with that, because it wasn't like that education piece and where you're getting your education from and how important that is, because you already had a little bit of momentum before 2008 hit, right?
Very true. So let me kind of go back and explain for people. So I've started investing in real estate in 2001, 2002. I was in my early 20s, and I was doing it with no knowledge, just kind of what you see on HGTV and things like that. And so, of course, when the market crashed, I lost everything. Had to go back to my parents' basement, you know what I mean? And just defeated and as an idiot. And it was there in that basement that I said, okay, let me see what's going on. Let me learn about this, and started to be different instead of just trying to do stuff, you know what I mean? Because I always had that inside of me to be an entrepreneur, and I knew that I wanted to do big things, but at the same time, I was always thinking I didn't need no one to coach me. I didn't need to take any classes. I didn't even think I needed to finish college, if you get what I'm saying. Life kicked
Mm-hmm.
my butt, and it was like, no, sis, you need to learn, then do it, and then you will be much more successful. So that's what I did, and kind of what I love telling people, like, just take a moment and learn about it, learn deeply, and you can really be successful once you have the right knowledge, and it's out there. You just got to take the time and not think that, oh, I can just do this. I don't need to ask nobody nothing. I could just watch TV and a couple of videos, and it's, you know.
So now you're on this path, right? You're on this
Yeah.
trajectory, and then at some point, and I know this didn't happen overnight, and I bring this up too because there's that overnight success thing that takes all these years, right? Many people have said it better than me, but YouTube at some point kind of fits in the picture. And like, did you want to do your first YouTube channel? Were you like really excited? Because I'll tell you, for our podcast, like I told Chirag, I'm like, Chirag, I'm not doing no podcast. What do you mean I don't got to do a we're trying to sell some books here, and you want me to talk to people in a podcast? I fought it. Like, how did your first YouTube channel come about?
That is funny. I'm just sitting here laughing and smiling because YouTube was something people pushed me to, and it's so funny because how I'm very popular on YouTube and people loved it. You don't understand how I thought I shouldn't do it. It's stupid. You can't, go on camera. And like you said, I dreaded it. Not even like it's so. I'm almost like hate saying it out loud. How stupid, like how dumb. What dumb idea I thought, and I was so wrong. Like I thought I should not be on social media very much. I should not teach these things. I shouldn't tell people these things. Like it was just so wrong, but that is what I thought. And it quickly, your audience kind of starts to pick up. And if you go into it with genuineness and
Hmm.
authenticity, people really were encouraging. Of course there's mean people, and every
Hmm.
now and then, but I was really supported. And so I was like, wow, okay, this is, people are finding inspiration in this, and people are really getting stuff out of it and doing it. And then I got excited.
How about the first time? So your content, like, for those that haven't seen your channel, maybe tell us a little bit about the content. Real estate focus, of course, but some of the types of things you maybe talk about before we go further on
Yeah,
your
so the
channel.
YouTube channel, when I first started, I was really just talking about wholesaling, okay? Because that was the thing that got me out of my parents' basement, finding people that were behind on payments or, in bankruptcy, foreclosure, probate, things like that, getting those deals under contract and then flipping those contracts to an investor, so for a fee, assigning contracts basically. So that's what I came to YouTube with. Just like, I'm going to show you that me as a woman, me of a woman of color, like I did this and made a lot of money with it. Then I started fixing and flipping. Then I got into rental properties, just telling people the easiest thing to do to start getting some money. And those videos really did well. How to talk to sellers, how to, put your signs out, what to say when they call you, different videos about that, and just going and telling everything that I had paid all that money for at some of those
Mm.
conferences and seminars. I just went on YouTube and told for free. And that was that.
Oh, that's so interesting. And like, so like, how long did it take for you, like, in terms of like putting out content, things like that, to like start getting a little bit of momentum? Do you remember? I
I
know
would
it's
say
been
it
a
was a
while.
year. I would say it was one solid year. And I tell people that's really what it is to anything. If you give
Mm,
something consistent 1 year,
mm,
you'll see a big difference. So going from you like no subscribers to where the channel is literally making $20,000-$30,000 a month. That is one
Mm.
year. So that to me is incredible. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And then all of the different ways that I learned to then monetize it, with people asking to do sponsored content, or, obviously I could say, hey, you want my book for free? I could, so it just became so many different things, and so powerful, that I was like, wow, I
Mm.
wish I'd have did this 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I feel like the concept. So as I've gotten to know you better over this time, and just to kind of follow your work and your content and the breadth of it and the other things, like, it's impressive because you're well developed in your niche, but you're always focused on bringing new content and different angles and different ways to add value with what you're doing to your community that you've built through the coaching side, the YouTube side. I mean, through New Res, your real estate company, you name it. I kind of see all of these things. And even though you do a lot, like, you're within your niche. And I
Yeah.
find, like, so you got so much traction. I'm not saying because of the channel, all the things, but, like, you found your niche, you stood with it, and you keep on digging. And I feel like sometimes when some people get discouraged, whether it's YouTube or podcasting or all these other things, because they don't really, and not down on anybody, but, like, they don't stick with something long enough to see it really work.
Right. Right. And I think that's it. You got to just weather that storm. Obviously, there were days when I didn't feel like making a video, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, there were days when I was excited and could not wait to film, and make those YouTube videos. So powering through it, even when you don't want to do it, is definitely going to be a trait that any entrepreneur could use in anything. But I really beg of people, give something 1 year. Like, seriously, be consistent about something for 1 year, whether it be weight loss, health, finance, wealth, like any area of your life. If you are consistent with doing that good thing for a year, you're gonna see an amazing turnaround.
And so through example, built a business, built a real estate company. Then at some point you start getting inquiries, or like how did the coaching, like, how did this evolve to where you're not, and I know you're still actively involved in real estate and purchasing
Yeah,
properties, running properties, and I like to
yeah,
make that distinction that you actually do what you're saying you're doing, have a brick and mortar business, not downing
right,
anybody that doesn't and that just does coaching, but I do like to personally
right.
make that distinction. So at some point, you transition and you start adding coaching to your plate. Like, how did it develop?
So it's funny, obviously doing the real estate and having, rental properties, and then, obviously being a licensed real estate agent, then becoming a real estate broker. That kind of course, that's just like my business, if you get what I'm saying. And to me, more than anything, that's why I can teach it so well and so easily, is because it is what I do every single day. You know what I mean? I am involved in real estate. And then taking it a step further, where we did the crowdfund and raise money, and saying, okay, here's how you do it, and bringing investors in, and just growing it to all of the levels that are possible. You know what I mean? I feel like I want to just crash through every door. You know what I mean? All of the things that they said that we could not do. You know what I mean? Or maybe we were held back from historically. I'll say that we can do now. So I want to do. I want to, you know what I mean? If there was a time when, I think, like with the crowdfund, that wasn't even really possible until 2012. You get what I mean? With the Jobs Act.
Mm,
So it's like
mm.
all of these doors have been opened up with so many things for us to become wealthy, that it's like, I gotta share this information. I gotta do it. I gotta see what's possible.
Now, I know you were doing, I mean, you did a ton of it. I think you're still doing in-person events, and then pandemic came, a lot of other things, and then I know you started doing some online things as well, and you got like give us a feel for maybe how you're now engaging best with your students.
So still the events. Obviously, I love that the country has opened back up. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
because one
Mm-hmm.
of the best events that we have is the Grow Your Wealth event. Okay, like for example, the next one is May 5th through the 7th. We haven't even. We're probably, the marketing will go out for it very soon. It'll be like growyourwealthevent.com, and that's an event where I teach, but we also do a tour. Literally, they get on these luxury buses and they go see my properties. Some of my, we do it in the Orlando area, so we get to, go by the properties, and they get to touch them and see them. And then we can go through numbers, and it becomes so real for people that's when they really take off. I see so many people really just take off once they are able to come and see the properties, because more than anything, it's like, they believe it. I feel like I come across, very genuine. But once you see me in person, you see the properties, it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. This is not difficult. We start opening the pulling back the curtains and really show you how it's done. But then we also have the challenge, which is a virtual event where I'm teaching for 2 full days, and that's right directly from the computer, and that's super inexpensive. So me again doing a lot of content on YouTube and Twitter and this type of content that's completely free, teaching people, but then giving them low cost options to either see me virtually or fly out to Orlando or Atlanta or one of the cities that we're doing an event in and see the actual properties and meet me in person. But just having all different types of options for people. That's what I'm about.
Yeah, I think it's great now. I mean, you've been in this part of the space for a while, and you've had some students that have had some success in investing in actually implementing what you're teaching. How long have you been coaching now? How long have you been like
So
the coaching part?
probably officially since 2017. Okay.
Wow. Doesn't
Um,
time fly? I bet you
It
it feels
does.
like
It
just the
does. I
other
was like,
day. Like,
wow, yeah, 2017. And then it was so funny because I just did it on such a smaller level. I laughed because when I first started, okay, here's a big secret. You know how they tell you whenever you're going to do something, you have to niche down. So you need to niche down, Noelle. So my coach would tell me, you got to niche down. And so I was like, all right, I want corporate women of color, like my age. You start doing an avatar that's basically you. And I just, laughingly, yes, I feel like I had some impact, but I have mostly men. If I have to be honest, I have is probably 51-49 men, women in my coaching program that I coach. Success stories, it's really even, different races, different genders, different sexuality, different, parts of the country, like really just more realizing that it wasn't about the demographics, it was really about the mindset. And I just kind of connect to so many different types of people that's been fun with the coaching, like how many different types of people and how many different types of people I've been able to connect with and them find success in real estate and in business.
now, I know that obviously, every individual person's going to be different and different background, different resources they're coming to the table with, a lot of different reasons that maybe some people can be successful. But
Yep.
through your program and through like the people that you've worked with, like what are some of
Yeah.
the common themes, whether it's traits or otherwise, that have made maybe some successful versus others? Like what have you found for those that just kind of stick out?
Yeah, so it's gonna be the person that it's funny, two major categories. The one that's like really fed up, you know what I mean, with what their current state is, and they're willing to change what they're doing. You get what I'm saying? You know how sometimes we've, like when I was in my parents' basement, broke, bankrupt, it was almost like I knew I had to do something different. Um, that person, who's kind of just like, this is the last thing, you know what I mean? I'm investing in this, and if it doesn't work, I'm going bankrupt, and I'm just gonna add you to my bankruptcy, like that person. That's usually a successful person because they're just like, I'm going for it and I'm gonna just make this work. And then there's the person I feel like that is ready for something new. You know what I mean? Not that they're fed up with what they're going on, because of course that's a motivator, being fed up, but then the person that's really forward looking, like I really see this potential for me, I really see where I fit into this, that, you know what I mean, not just going through the motions, or it's the next hot thing that they see, real estate, oh, I
Hmm.
want to flip houses because I saw it on
Yeah.
TV, but just know, like, no, I really, and I kind of ask them their vision, and that's when I can hear it, if they're really serious or not. So really fed up or really looking for something new.
So I want you to this is kind of like the pay it forward time. So a lot of people, let's say whatever niche, doesn't matter. Doesn't real estate doesn't, creating content, like
Uh-huh.
finding ways to add value. You do it through a lot of different channels. Obviously you've grown and you've been able to kind of expand and now do them through different channels, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, I mean, you name it. You're all over the place. But what would you tell the people that are, I like to say, that are sitting on like all of this knowledge, but not like producing content? Like they're still kind of holding back. Maybe they don't, maybe for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What would you tell them about like getting out there?
Yeah, so I would tell them to go for it. You meet so many people that are talented, that have great information, that know things, that even if they some of the things worked out, and then even the things that didn't work out, how valuable that knowledge is, how valuable their story is. Like, hey, I tried this thing and it didn't work, and then I tried this thing and it did work, or vice versa. That is so helpful. So people who have all of these skills and talents and knowledge inside of them and are never sharing it with the world. What a disservice. And I say that as someone that used to be that, someone that, I knew some stuff. I knew I was, kind of, I had some stuff inside of me, but for years was like, no, I'm not gonna put myself out there. I'm
Yeah,
not, you know what I
we
mean?
all been
So
there.
I'm like, you don't be that fool. Be smart. Be the new version of me. Like, you can do it. Start putting your content out there. That is an amazing way to bring value to your community. It's an amazing way to connect with people that are like-minded. Yes, you may get some haters, but you're going to find a lot of support and people that are just like you, that want to work with you, that want to partner with you, that want to, whatever it is that you do. So you should definitely put your stuff out there. Go on social media, put your content, put yourself out there, and go for it.
So you mentioned earlier the idea of like consistency. Do you happen, I mean, you may not, I know it's been a while, but roughly how many videos you think you put out that first year?
That
Roughly,
first
roughly.
I know
Not
for a
holding you to
fact.
it.
Like, I
Oh,
mean,
you don't
we
know.
could just
Okay,
do
go
the
ahead.
math. I would do 20 videos per month. Okay, so it's 5 days per
Wow.
week.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
five
about.
days a
That's
week,
what I'm
Monday through
talking about.
Friday. I go film 20 of them. It was a one day though, 9 to 5. All right, because the videos are 10 to 15 minutes each. I would have my bullets, okay? Not full, not reading off a teleprompter, none of that stuff, but just bullet points of my scripts. Then I would just go, because like I said, it really, if especially if it's something you do, like if it's like I do real estate, so I could make 100 videos. So that first year, you do the math, 20 videos times 13. I cannot do that
Wow.
on top of my head.
Chirag can, don't worry. He's sitting there. But so but when you say consistent, I love the way you broke that down. You broke down your schedule because some people will listen to this. I'm glad we got in the weeds on that one. Some
Yeah,
people will listen to this and they'll say, well, I did a video once a week for the year. If that's where your level's at, by the way, I would be ecstatic if somebody has a dream and they do one video per week for a year. That's an
right.
accomplishment in
That
itself.
is,
But to
and
hit the
you will see. I think even if you did one video a week, every single week for a year, I still think you would see some good progress. Now, obviously, I
Absolutely.
would go for 3 or 5, but at the same time, I know you would start to get some traction because
But
it's the
and
consistency.
totally. And my thing is that what you did though was you chose to compress time by adding more and doing more and like refining your content, your message, and really just being authentic in your story and what you do. So you do real estate, so you shared information about what you do, but
Right.
you did it with massive action. Like
Yeah.
20 videos, like that's no joke. Like some people may not, and again, I'm not downing anyone else. We're all in our own level of this journey. And again,
Right.
like you said,
Right.
one video a week, ecstatic. But if you want
Yeah.
to grow something, like it's gonna be work. You said 9 to 5. You had like so. If you take content and in the age that we're at, this renaissance of really content creation, if you take it serious, like there's not only money to be made, but there's a lot of people you can help. Which you
Yes.
found, like I don't know if like when you went into your YouTube channel originally, if you had the mindset of ultimately turning to coaching or
No,
what, but through your coaching, was that an evolution or was that the
that was an
reason or
evolution. Oh,
wow,
yes,
wow,
Adam. That was an evolution. So I went there, and at first I would say, "Hey, you want to partner? Send me deals." I was
oh
looking
wow,
for almost like bird dogs. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
didn't
help
know
me
that.
find some
Yeah.
properties, get me some deals, and then people are like, "Well, you got to teach me," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right."
I learned
And so then
something new
that,
about you every time. That's new. I didn't know that. Wow. So you weren't even thinking about coaching. You're like, I want to do some deals. So you were
yep,
just out there being the real deal. And then, oh, you got to teach me. I'm going to
yes,
get you a property if I don't know what I'm doing.
right.
That's ridiculous. That's funny. That's
It
good though.
is. It's funny. And then came the books, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
let me keep going with the
Yeah.
content. So this is what the secret sauce that I love sharing with people about the content. And if this doesn't motivate you, nothing will. I told you I'm able to do the YouTube videos in one day, 20 videos. Okay. It's one hard days of work, but it's one day. Then from the YouTube videos, you got your YouTube videos. Then they chop those up. That's your YouTube shorts. Okay. That's your Twitter posts, and they put it on TikTok. They chop it up and they put it on TikTok. Okay. Then they put it on Facebook. They put it on Instagram. They chop up that 1 day's worth of content and put it on all the social media. Okay. Let's go. Every video ends with a call to action. Okay. So every single video I do, I'm offering you, hey, get my book, or hey, you want to come to an event, or hey, do you want to do this? Get one of my downloads. I'm going to grab your email address. I am going to get something. I'm going to make some offer. Okay. And that adds up really quickly. And if I told you I'm doing 20 videos a month, then those offers are everywhere. I just told you we chop the content up, put it everywhere. You take the transcript, that's your blog. You take just the audio, that's the podcast. So it's so much you can repurpose the content and do. Now, I'm not saying this is going to you're going to have to put some effort into the other platforms. Don't get me wrong.
Of course,
but this is an easy way to get a lot of content out there with 1 day's worth of work and really get a lot of money. Okay, because you're making offers, you're getting deals. Whatever your call to action, whether you're looking for clients, whether you have deals for them, whether you do mortgages, whatever you do, you're gonna get leads.
And my point on this, I like to hear somebody else preaching this for a change. My point is, at least you're in the game then. Like, you're not even in the game if you're not producing some form of content. You don't
Right.
have to be like over the top. And that wasn't even your point in the beginning. So
Right.
now somebody might look at you and say, okay, YouTube influencer, or this or that, or all these followers, or this, that. But that isn't even where you were starting to do. You were starting to get deals because you wanted to see who you could do a real estate deal with. So it was
Exactly.
completely opposite of what someone might think was the face value. And
Right.
what it is you found a way to build, but you had to put yourself in the game. If
That's
somebody's
right.
sitting on the sideline and you're not even in the game, then you don't even have a chance to let something evolve. Maybe coaching's not going to be your thing. Like, maybe it's
Right.
going to be something else, but
Right.
you got to be in the game.
Right. Exactly. Got to get in the game. There's so many wins if you get in the game.
So speaking of being in the game, that was my big transition. I got one more question for Noelle, and I'll let everybody else get ready for their questions. And if anybody wants to raise their hand to go next, then we'll you get to have some questions. I told everybody that I wouldn't hog the whole microphone or the whole interview. But so books, we're fans of books. We're avid book people. We as publishers, and you were already an author prior to working with us, and I'm so proud and thrilled to have recently published a book with you. And I know we're just
Yes.
getting started on the promotion of that and all
Yeah.
the things that entails. And it's going to be fun. Can't wait to have you back on the show. But books, like, what if you do online and you do still physical books?
Yes.
As a publisher, I like to have other people say it that are not publishers. Why do you think books still matter?
Books matter because it's an easy, low cost way for people to learn. Okay. First of all, I am a big advocate of reading, period. I have a nonprofit dedicated to children's literacy. So we won't even go there. I think reading is one of the best things that you can do. And one of the things that I did, like I said, I got coaching and I read. I had to start learning to read. And so I love books because it's such an inexpensive way. Like, yeah, you could literally get coaching or you could read like these 10 books. And honestly, in many cases, it's the same thing. So it really is a low cost way. And for an influencer or a person that does something, any type of professional, it's such credibility. You know what I mean? When I show them that I have written a book, now even I wasn't even going for like bestseller and Amazon and some of those things that I've done. I was really just trying to find a low cost thing to give information to people. But then the credibility of how people are like, wow, you're an author, you're a published author. How great that was for the brand was so amazing to me. So those two things, like it's just good all around.
All right, I'm going to pass the mic. Mark, got a question for Noelle. And Mark's in Florida too. So you guys at some point got to connect because Mark's I'll let Mark talk for
Yes.
himself, but he's part of our community and he's in the real estate niche too in another area. But I'll let Mark go. Mark?
Hey, thanks. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Noelle. It's a pleasure listening to you. You're such a ball of fire. Oh
Well,
my
thank you,
God.
Mark.
Oh, wow. I was just at the Inman conference in New York. I don't know if you were there.
No, I was not, but I have heard of it. Yes. So yes, tell me about it.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about myself.
Okay.
I own DPI Showcase websites. My company's been creating websites for realtors for about 19 years now.
Okay.
And I have clients all over the country. But what I've been doing for over 20 years is teaching marketing classes to realtors at the Miami Association of Realtors.
Love it.
One of my favorite classes is surviving the first 6 months as a realtor.
Yes. I
And you get
love
all
it.
the newbies in there, you know?
Yes. Yes.
They're
That's
all
exciting. No, that's actually very exciting. Like, no, all seriousness. So like I said, I recently became licensed broker, went from, salesperson to broker, because I just never had time to take the test and all of that stuff. So I'm with the Orlando Association of Realtor, and I'm taking a lot of these classes that the board offers, and it is some great education.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things I teach them is that they have to do a business plan.
Right.
I say, "Hey, this is a business, you know?"
Yes. Yes.
And then I tell them that they have to change their mentality from being an employee to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And then they look at me like, "Oh, wow. Uh-oh." They get scared. You see their eyes opening. So, so the first question, I have a few questions. Sorry, Adam.
Do it. Making me do all the
Right. I'm
interviews.
ready. I
This is
love
your
this.
turn. No, you got Noelle
Yes.
here. Come on, enjoy.
Yeah.
So the first question is, like, I was sitting at the Inman conference. I don't exhibit at these things. I sit in the audience.
Okay.
And you get all these like motivational speakers up there, and then you look at the audience, and sometimes they get glazed, or they kind of look frustrated because here's people telling them, yeah, yeah, rah rah, but they don't know how to do it. How do
Yeah.
you combat that?
It's hard because the rah-rah and the motivation, truly, I think anybody that is successful knows that it's mostly mindset. So unfortunately, once you're successful, you're always trying to tell people about the mindset, like you just said, that like, yeah, you got to change your mindset to an entrepreneur. You got to kind of let some of those old thinkings go, you know what I mean? Like when you become a real estate agent, and you're like, okay, I'm now an entrepreneur, I have to learn how to hunt, I have to feed myself. That's a different mentality than like a zoo animal that's being fed, and I often use that comparison for someone at a job. They're like, a lion in the zoo. They're fed, they're taken care of, but then a lion in the wild hunts, and that's what an entrepreneur is. So that I get it. I really do. But at the same time, if they would not glaze their eyes over, and they would probably start to really learn the answer to what's holding them back from being successful in real estate, from being the successful real estate agent that they want to be. It usually is some limiting belief about how much money they could make, or how difficult it is, or what the market is, or something about the economy, or some silliness about who's the president. And some of those things are so crazy, but that's what people hold on to, and that's really the stuff that's holding them back. So I get it. At those conferences, they love the motivation, and people are like, get to the real stuff. But it's just like, I'm trying to tell you, that is the real stuff. Like, you got to change your mindset first before any of the scripts work.
Thanks, that's great. Yeah, what I do is I give them a how to, like, here, steps one, step A, B, and C, go do this,
Yeah.
But like, here's how you post on Facebook or Instagram,
Yeah.
or here's how you set up your business page on Facebook. A, B, and C.
Yeah.
One
Yeah,
of
no,
the
absolutely. Love teaching people how to, but let's be honest. Let's have a conversation, Mark. How many real estate agents really use social media the way that they should? In real, like, seriously, let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I always give the story of Dr. Redmond.
Okay.
Dr. Redmond was my Bio 101 teacher when I was in pre-med. That lasted one semester, by the way. And there was an auditorium of about 200 people. And he said, look to your right, look to your left, because 90% of you will not make it to med school, but we need you here to pay the bills. So those 85% of those realtors who do one deal a year, we need them, to pay the
It's true.
boards,
It's
you know.
true. It's true. It's true. That's and I know. And it's the same thing. Like I said, I've been to college, and it's the same thing. And you realize that most people go to college, they don't finish, and so most people start things and they don't finish. And to me, of course, that's fine. That's how life is. And if we did any industry, I'm sure the stat would be the same. but I always, it almost hurts my feelings because I know real estate is the number one way to wealth.
It is, and it's the fastest way to start your own business and
Correct.
start generating cash flow. One
Correct.
of the biggest challenges, though, I find, is technology. Most real estate agents are not tech people. I mean, what you're doing with your YouTube channel, listen, I have a YouTube channel with tons of training videos. So what you're doing, I feel your pain. But technology is really hard for these people.
That's a belief right there, and that's what you know. And you're funny because you're repeating back the stuff that they say to you and they say to me, that technology is hard. And I'm like, my son's autistic, he's never said a word, and you should see him with an iPad. Don't tell me this is hard. It's not. And some of these things are so much more simpler now than they used to be. Let's think about how much easier it is now to search for a property in MLS versus 10 years ago.
They used to have books.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like there's so many, like automation. You get a client, they tell you they want a 3-bedroom, 3-bath in a certain area. You freaking stick it into MLS, and every time a listing hits, it will automatically email them. You don't even have to do anything. So one of the technology helps. That's my point.
I mean, I tell them to draw a line in the sand. Do what you're comfortable in doing, and just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm a coach, and so I'm more like the trainer at the gym. And I'm like, look, you want to be rich or you want to be broke?
So one of the things that we went through the past few years, yeah.
I'm dying over here, Noelle.
I was like, dang, so nobody laughed.
No, etiquette on Twitter is like, because there's a bunch of us in here, so if everybody's laughing. But I had to,
because I'm like, no, do it. Come on, technology is not going anywhere.
You're not
right. Where technology will be here. You can learn these simple little things. You guys can learn these little apps.
Sorry, Mark.
It's easy.
I had.
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
No, I'm cool, man. This is a fun time. You know, this is what we do every week.
Yeah, it's real talk.
It is. You know, it's not scripted. Right. Yeah, one of the other challenges that happened recently is, you know, the market changed.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to people, all right, it's, you know, we're going from a seller's market to a buyer's market. Just change your hat and go to work.
Exactly.
So, you know, what's your take on that?
So I think it was a good thing. Obviously, we know that after the pandemic, okay, so let me give you this little quick thing. So I have a master's degree from Penn State in economic development. So I absolutely love this conversation about different trends and things of that nature. So if we have to say, just from that standpoint alone, we had to start rationing, like fixing the market. After the pandemic, there was the supply demand was off. It was completely off. Like we don't even have to get into anything deep with economics, but we know the demand when everybody came out of the pandemic, everybody wanted houses, and there was not enough supply. There was no building materials being made during the pandemic. All the factories were shut down, and it took a long time, much longer than we thought, I think, to start catching back up with all the building material and all of the demand that people wanted. And people were going crazy bidding with each other for, you know, new construction houses and going on these bidding wars, and I'll pay you double and 20,000 over the list price, all this craziness that it had to level out. And I think 2023 is more of a market correction, and we're kind of correcting and getting more so than it being like a crash. I definitely think we're going to see some recession type stuff. You know, we can talk about that. But at the same time, for the real estate market, I think this is about right.
You know, we're returning to normal is what we're doing.
Right.
Interest rates historically were 6%.
Yes.
And I look at the statistics in Miami of sales. I mean, 2021 was like crazy, but now we're returning to normal.
Right. Right. And Miami is, but the thing about it too, like those areas like Miami, the demand is still high, you know, so there's certain areas too in certain markets where, you know, others corrected faster or more so than others. But I think pretty much all of Florida, I think we're getting a good benefit. I think the Florida market for the most part, I feel like is in a really good position. That's
great. It's really great listening to you talk. Adam, I'll turn it back to you because I you know me, I can keep talking.
Let's get Denley involved over here. Denley, welcome.
Hey, Adam, how's it going? Noelle, great hearing the energy.
Thank
That's
you.
I love feeling the energy, even where I am in this kind of frigid box of what we call up in Toronto here. That the energy is nice to kind of warm you up and get you
Well,
going here.
good. I like
Get you going.
Toronto. I like
Yeah, yeah,
Toronto. I do. That's a great city.
yeah. The city of Drake, right?
That's right. I put y'all on the map.
Uh, yeah, right. I hear you. I got some family in Florida, so it's most definitely it's a nice spot. But what I hear what you had to say or are saying, and you talked about mindset being such a key thing. So let me just kind of back up here. So Denley McIntosh, coach. I have a podcast called The Coach's Corner on Adams and Chirag's on the Mission Matters Podcast Network. So my focus is on helping people through getting good coaching so they have a friendly corner to rest, think, and engage the world better around them. So I want to see folks get that knockout of success fairly. And that's what you're helping people to do, get that knockout of success fairly. And
Yeah.
one of the things I appreciate the mindset, and one of the things I am interested to ask you is the power of partnership. I remember reading a book called The Millionaire Mind, I think by Thomas Stanley, and he talked about what people do to get wealthy, or what wealthy people do that draws wealth to them. And one of the chapters you talk about the people in their lives having partnership, whether it be a close friend or your spouse. So my close partner is my wife, and we challenge each other in terms of building a different mindset and
Yeah.
looking at the world differently. So my question for you, who's that person that challenges you to differ that mindset? Because at the end of the day, you're doing what you're doing, which is
Yeah.
great, but a coach always needs a coach.
Right.
Who's that coach? And what particular book has really motivated you, inspired you? I'd be interested to kind of hear those kind of two things. So person and
Okay.
maybe
So
book.
I love what you said about the friend and support. Obviously, especially with entrepreneurship, I feel like that's like the best personal development that you could ever go through. Starting your own business, fighting your way through it, and especially if you can be successful, whether you're successful or not, I think you're definitely going to learn so much about yourself. You know what I mean? And so through that journey, having someone to support you, having a friend, I really kind of just closed in, and like me and my husband, we just incubated. That's what we would call it. We're like going to incubate, because we kind of decided at the same time that we were going to leave these jobs, and he was going to start writing full time. He writes songs, and he was going to really just do music, which was crazy to a person. And I'm saying I'm going to go flip houses full time, and so people thought we were crazy. So we really had to just be each other's friend and only talk to each other, and that was enough. And then, like you said, listening to positive things, reading positive books. One of the books that I read that I love, and I even give to my students today, John Maxwell, and actually one of my mentors. Okay, I'll go back. His name is Toby. I won't say was, because he's still alive, and he's one of the co-founders of Movement Mortgage. Okay, company I used to work for. And when I first met him at the interview, he handed me a book by John Maxwell called Becoming a Person of Influence. And I was taking a position like as a manager. And so instead of, because usually as a manager, that's authority. You're the manager, and people should listen to you because you're the manager. But that's not his philosophy. And we were having such a great conversation about leading by influence instead of by authority. And so then I fell in love with those books. And then there's John Maxwell. He has all these little short books, like How Successful People Think, How Successful People Grow, How Successful People, God, I forgot. But but those How Successful People Think, How Successful People Grow, those are my
Mm-hmm.
favorites, as well as Becoming a Person of Influence. So, and then you have all the greats, of course, Think and Grow Rich, and, Brian Tracy, No More Excuses. I could go on and on about books because I like books.
Oh, yeah, you're a bibliophile, if I can use that term, right?
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, it's having that bibliophile attitude, and
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed John Maxwell, Dr. Maxwell with the leadership, and yeah, I think that's those materials are so important, and not just in real estate, but just anything that you're aspired to take it to the next level. And so I appreciate the book, and similarly having a spouse in your corner, or for some it may not be a spouse, but it's just someone who who's just real with you, right? Just say, hey,
Right.
you need to kind of snap out of that, right? Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what?
Yeah.
As Les Brown said, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, right?
Yes, and
And
someone
this,
that's not going to beat you up when you lose, because every day is
that's
not going to
right.
be sunshine and strawberries. So the last thing you need if something's not going right is for your person to be kind of piling on. So it's like you either need a supportive spouse or partner or support system or none at all, because you are enough. I am also a big believer in you are enough.
That's
Okay,
right.
so here we go.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, if your spouse doesn't believe you, your friends don't believe you, you got to believe yourself first and foremost,
That's
right? And
right.
you gotta keep at it, keep doing it, and
Right. To
it
heck
seems
who
that seems like you're
believes.
doing
The
it.
heck who believes. It doesn't matter what they believe. It really doesn't. And that's another thing. We have to, you can care about people. This is another Noelleism. You can care about people, but you do not have to care what they think.
Absolutely.
Love that. No, we usually like to keep these to about an hour, but one actually final question for you. I'm actually curious because I know you've been on this train of creating tons of content and you're very consistent at it.
Yes.
Was there like an inflection point, or was there like a virality like hit that you got, like, or was it just steady building?
No, it was definitely a moment, but I almost knew this. Okay, so let me kind of go back and be really transparent. So I started kind of doing the YouTube thing by myself with my computer, doing what people say, start ugly. Started, with my computer using Zoom and recording them on a Zoom. Awful, okay, awful quality. Go back and look. I look awful. And then I started to get some traction. So of course, when you see some success, you invest. And so I started investing in it. And then eventually I got with Nate Woodbury and was flying out to Utah. And that's when he started producing my channel, and me really kind of getting in deliberate about the titles that I was picking and my descriptions and my thumbnails, and like really being deliberate about it because it started making money. So I could see like, wow, what if I invested more into this? This would make more. And of course, that's what happens. And that's what did happen. And so at about month 7, there was a video that we did that basically went viral. And then the next month, we had another one. And when I say viral, 500,000, 800,000, a million views. And then, but at the same time, remember, never was my goal. Every little video, remember with YouTube, you were paid for every view and I'm getting leads. So to me, that was the best part. But there was a viral. Yeah, definitely around month 7.
I love that.
Yeah.
And in terms of like, just curious with older content, do you still have all that older content from like day one? Is that still there, or do
Heck
you
yeah. Still on my channel. I
love?
did not take it down. Here's another thing. I think my audience loves seeing the progress. And that's the inspiration. Look at even, people, they're like, no, well, they even tell me I look better, like physically. And it's funny because I'm getting older, but it's like, no, you're getting prettier. I'm getting richer. I'm getting better at this. I'm getting better lighting. I'm getting better makeup artist, better hairstylist. So leaving that old content up there is so important so people can see your growth, your progress, and it inspires them to start the way they are because they know it's going to grow if you stick with it. So I would never take it down.
And how long ago did you get started? Just so,
That was
or
2018. That was 2018 with the YouTube.
4 or 5 years. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom.
And then I took it full time in 2020.
Love it.
Yep.
Awesome. Incredible story. Well, look, we like to keep these to about an hour.
Okay. I'm good for that because it's 8 p.m. and I got to put babies to bed.
that,
I
that,
get these lashes off.
just I guess, anyone have any final questions for Noah before we all part ways?
Yeah, I got a question for you, Noelle. So Daily McIntosh again, Coach's Corner, and what would you tell your younger self if you had to roll back the hands of
Oh
time? What would you tell your
gosh.
younger self? What would you tell your younger baby girl and say, hey, you need to know this now because you can accelerate whatever you're doing.
That
What
one
is
is
that? What
such
is
a
those
hard
steps?
one. That's hard because here's the thing. I'm also like the believer in the butterfly effect, and everything happens for a reason. So I fell down a lot, a lot. I made a ton of mistakes. Like I said, I was a disaster of a person till I was nearly 30 years old. Okay, so I could probably go back and change a lot of things, but at 42, I'm a multimillionaire mama, 5 happily married, successful businesses. Good God, why would I change anything? You get what I'm saying? But at the same time, I could tell sister girl, baby, younger version of me, a whole lot of stuff. Like we would be here all night.
Oh man, love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Nice, thank you.
Well,
Yeah, we got our own journeys, basically what I'm saying. So I feel like we all have our journey. That was mine. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Noelle.
Thank you guys. This was a
You're all
great conversation.